Welcome to Wickerson Studios. My voice is cracking because I'm so excited to do this. And just listen to me for a second, please. This is essential. And it's a double-edged sword here because if you do this early on in Rhino and you open it up and you're beginner to Rhino, you probably won't explore Grasshopper for a while. Certainly computational arts, generative design, and things like that. I'm not going to go through the absolute basics of this, of bringing in picture, which used to be picture frame, and they put on here a side, a top, a bottom of a chair. But it's a great example of modeling in 3D. And if you get into this, the reason I'm doing this is because I teach in sculpture department, and I've tried to teach parametric modeling, computational arts, generative design, push Grasshopper, push the plugins, push the GH Python node, push the C# node. If you know anything about Wickerson Studios, I've been so far down that path, I literally have never produced, as far as I know, any 3DM files. They're always GH files. They appear. I work definitely in Grasshopper. But for those absolute beginners, and the reason I think I can't connect with everybody, because I think anybody who does this would definitely connect to Rhino and Grasshopper, you need to go to the sample file. You want to go in and download the Learn Rhino files and get them all lined up here. You can pull them in as a toolbar. You have a little knowledge of Rhino and how to set up the screen, so work the interface and things like that. But open the chair file, and you've got these three great views. And the elevator mode is what the sculptor needs, or the designer, or the jeweler, or the architect, or the engineer, or whatever you have, what have you. But I just want to show a quick little thing, so simple. The example that they run through in their text, which everybody needs to know to become a licensed, teacher in Rhino. If students just started like this, and I think I've been too complex, I've been too far down my mathematical, complex, confused, chaotic mind just to do something like this. And so I'm really going to take my classes and start with Rhino for a month. I'm not even going to open Grasshopper for 3 weeks, then Grasshopper for 3 weeks, then into some computational design in GH Python nodes and C#. And it's funny that this realization is coming to me now. So this is it. I've just wasted 2 minutes of your life saying, watch this. This is essential. So for all those people in my class that I love, and all the people that have been in the class, I know you're like, why didn't you do that instead of like bore us to tears with all of this node scripting and Python and C scripting? And I was like, okay, here it is. Go up the curve. Go into Polyline. This is right off the demo. Pick your Polyline and select a point. Everybody understands following this. You can have your object snaps with your shift so they're orthogonal, and you know a little bit about that and picking points. But I'm just going to quickly draw without anything. I'm just going to freehand this and get these lines. And it is critical now at this point. Most people know that they can go over to the right and snap across here. And if you want to make it ortho, hit shift because you've got it on your object snap. I'm not even going to do that. But the main thing is right here. Look up at your perspective window. How am I going to get this point out here, away from here, without snapping to all these other areas? And this is the elevator mode. I'm going to teach this in a whole class for 3 hours, and we're just going to model line for probably variable pipes and all this crazy crap in Grasshopper afterwards. But you're going to go back to your front window. You're going to hover over this. You're going to click Control down and tap that to set elevator mode. Then you're going to release the control. You are going to go back up to the last point you put in perspective and look at it. It automatically finds that point, like finding the center of a circle by going to the circle shape if you've got snap on center. And there you go. Let's do it again. Let's go back down here and say we want to get to this point. We've targeted it. Control, click to activate elevator mode. It's all behind the scenes. Come back to perspective, go back to your last point, and it automatically finds it. Once again, let's continue. Simple, essential class. Control, tap, go back to the mode, last point you clicked. Go down. I want to make it to this point. Hover, target, control, click, go back to perspective. And last point you clicked. And we can just hit close to close this off if you want to. And there we go. Let's erase everything. You have modeled your first three-dimensional model of a chair from 3 picks. I cannot stress enough of this. Now, of course, I'm such a fool, and I'll jump in here and I'll be like, yay! and I'll do something crazy, and I'll get into my custom nodes, and I'll take you down this tool path, and I have no idea why I haven't thought to teach ABC before jumping into parametric computational and my own interest in generative design. And I blame Jeremy Graham because he was such a genius, and Junichiro Horikawa, and I blame Daniel Kristev, and I blame Carl Singlein. All of these giants that have sent me down so many of these creative conceptual paths. Yet I should have done this, and if I just did this 4 or 5 years ago in the Fab Lab, we would have jumped out. Everybody would have gotten Rhino. They would have signed up. I could run classes online for 300 people, and we could do Rhino, then Grasshopper, then computational arts. This may have seemed so obvious, but it's almost like I had to have a conversation with myself. I blame the cold weather. I thank the cold weather, and it made me think this way. So let's just jump into Grasshopper, do a new document. Let's import a curve just for fun, because you know how much fun I have with this. Let's collect that polyline. Let's pop it into our one curve. Let's take my ugly face over here, and let's go into surfaces, grab a variable pipe. Just end with a little bit of jazz, because I love life. And here we go, variable pipe. Let's reparameterize it. All these things that I assume everybody knows and is interested in. And I've never once been sensitive to the people that are absolute beginners. And it's my own fault. I'm not the best teacher in the sense that I love to do things for people. I need to let people learn the ABCs themselves. And as I get older, I'm realizing if I don't bridge this gap, I'm not going to go any farther with anyone else. I'll just fall into my hole to myself. Let's go into sets, grab a sequence range. You can type these in and get them faster. It defaults to a domain 0 through 1, so you can put it into parameters, and we'll do our wonderful little graph mapper, which I actually, ever since studying, I think it's Wurz's work, Walter Wurz or something, I'm trying to remember his name. He's like, make a Bezier curve, draw a curve that you want onto your construction plane. But once again, I'm getting too confused, and all I want to do is show you this simple elevator mode of how to model. So it's a 7-minute video, 8-minute video by the time I finish this. Let's go into graph mapper and have a little fun and just finish it up. BAMF, and let's throw it into graph types, parabola, and where are you and why aren't you working? What have I done wrong? Possibly because I have not, joined it all, made it one. Maybe that would help. Select object group. That's it. Maybe because I have my Grasshopper off. Why am I getting nothing? Such a fool. Oh, well, because I'm tucked into a Rhino file, which is always an issue. Empty breadth parameter. Reference polyline curve. That should be it. Let's get rid of this thing so we're not looking at it. Why am I such a fool on this? Maybe because, it's a polyline. Maybe I just need to join the polyline to make it run. No, it's giving me a nice reference polyline curve. It should be flowing through. Let me take a break and find out what. Confused myself like normal. I just made a little copy of this, and what I did was I exploded it because I knew it would work well if I just took all the lines and imported them excuse me, separately. And here we are playing around with our variable pipe just to make it jazzy. And that one's obviously gotten way too big because I pulled it out, but there we go. Got a nice variable pipe. Throw our little strange caps in there. And there you go. You've got a very strange chair that's not treating it as one line. And I guess that's what I was doing. I had created a polyline. I had wanted it to treat it as one full line as it flowed right through it, but because that's the way it was created, I had to deal with it. Actually, I liked it better dealing it with this way, that it's individual lines, and then I'm able to go in and change the variable pipe on what's happening on each unit and capping it. So that's kind of nice. So you have this weird organic chair. But remember, the whole point of this, see how my mind goes? And sometimes you have to reset this. The variable pipe is kind of tricky in Grasshopper, at least for what I've experienced. And then this one, what I've done is really just exploded it, ungrouped it, and treated it as separate pieces, so to import them there. And I guess you could bring a couple in together. I think the real excitement might be, I'm just going to continue because why not? Let's go back into turning this off, and let's put these back up. And since we don't need this one anymore, and of course you'll see the size and scale of what I shrunk down. There also was the case that the scale was just outrageous, and I wasn't really appreciating the visualization of the pipes and how thick they were. let's go back into here, and let's just have a little fun with this. I feel like I want to. We'll ignore that little object there, even though I like that little tiny chair. We'll get rid of that one. And let's go back in and do it exactly the same way as we did before. Thinking of this in perspective and what we're doing. I did mean to hide that. Well, of course I tried to hide it, and my Grasshopper's open, so I've got to take off my visuals here, and that should get it out of Grasshopper. So let's go back into, and let's try something different. Let's just do a polyline through points, which might make for a more interesting thing. So we'll start the polyline. Select. Oh, I have to make my points first. Okay, I don't want to do that. Let me go into curve. Let me exit that, and let me make let's not make a polyline. Let's make a freeform curve and go through control points or interpolate points. That would go. We could go through the control points. It might be nice. We'll just interpolate it. It's not going to be that exciting. Let's take it from here to here to here to here and all the way up to here. And let's just throw in a little jazz back. Well, we'll just keep it simple like that. Stretch it across to here, keeping it on a parallel. We could do a smart track here. We could track that and bring it over, but since it's there, we can just follow it. And then we're going to do down here, use the control, click, and bring it back to our last point here, right here. And I think that worked, yes. And then we'll go back down here and we'll go tap, and we'll come off to our last point here. If I can target that. Oh, come on, target it. There we go. And then we'll go down here. Oh, this is going to make for a rocker. This is a little more exciting. And I should be saying what I'm doing. I'm targeting, control, click to set elevator mode. Come back to your last point and get that one going. And then go back down to here. We want our last point to be here. And I think we'll leave this one open. We're going to, because I don't want to close it and have some trouble, I'm going to reference that point. Hopefully I got onto the right point referenced. That one I don't want to snap to the grid. I'm going to target, control, click, set elevator mode, and then go to our last point here, and we'll end it off. And we're going to just hit enter to end. And now we'll take it off, boom, boom, boom. And we've got a pretty nice curve. And with any luck, I can jump back into here as a polyline and shrink down our Grasshopper and make ourselves another automated little tiny chair. I am going to take the script again because I like what I did in the last one. And I may, just for convenience sake, go into here, go to full perspective, and we'll shrink this little guy down, down like that, and we'll bring him down to the bottom again. And hopefully I can just get everything active with preview on, and we will take this curve and we will set one curve to that one with any luck, and I think we've got it. And there it is. It's behaving exactly how I wanted. So I think the polyline was breaking it up and causing me trouble. But this is a nice flow. And now you're talking about something funky. And if you don't want something that boring, ends, let's do a sine summation and really get into this and start to really build some symmetric, cool trig furniture. Anyway, I'm loving it. Really kind of gross. But what the whole point of this lecture was, even though I got roundabout and out of my mind, is that we are jumping into it using all 4 viewports. And let's go back to visibility standard zoom extends all. We might have to bring them in. You can see it got a little funky because I wasn't really referencing everything. Actually, I really like it. I like it. I usually don't like symmetry. A lot of people do. But I think really asymmetric sculpture is much harder to make. I remember a lecture I was listening to by Richard Mattson at the Kansas City Art Institute Foundation Department. And that was a real push for his people in his cardboard construction classes. So that's it. Roundabout in 14 minutes, why I was so passionate, why it is so essential to go back to Rhino, even though you've made the jump into computational parametric art. If you want to get people to get interested in this, you're going to have to drag them in through the most basic ABCs. And I've said I was teaching, Grasshopper for Rhino ABCs. Maybe I should have started with ABCs for Rhino, but there's another part of me that says, hey, because you didn't. You came to learn Rhino through Grasshopper. And it's the same thing with Rhino inside and Revit. Not knowing a lot about Revit, it's very nice to be limited by opening Grasshopper with within Rhino inside. And I may get back into it, but Scott Davidson's the genius on that, so follow him. Anyhow, I did a few shout outs to people. I was passionate. I slowed down. I got lost. I get confused. It's the way I am. I hope you enjoy it. And for all my introductory classes, I'm going to make them do this 15 minutes. All right. Thanks for watching.